extremely good at it. Pass is caught for the first down, and then a fumble picked up by the Steelers. Pass is picked, intercepted, handoff for the touchdown. Sets up, throws pass there, touchdown. Tyler Simmons.
We're thankful to win. Anytime we
I'm Missi Matthews. Welcome to Training Camp Live presented by FedEx, where now meets next. A busy week for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the first preseason game at the Hall of Fame. You could put a check mark next to that. A busy weekend in Canton, also here inside Heinz Field. The Steelers are down there right now getting ready for their first practice following that game on Thursday in Canton, Ohio. The players had the day off on Friday. Craig Wolfley had the day off too, but he is back and raring to go, right, Wolf?
Indeed, ready to go, Missy.
All right, so as we said, a lot happening here at Heinz Field, and we will get to that in Mike Prisuta in just a little bit. But the good news is enshrinement's taking place tonight and tomorrow, and Troy Polamalu has touched down in Canton, Ohio. There you see him from this morning, the Hall of Fame parade. So good to see Troy is going to be there in person. Dick LeBeau will be presenting him, and I am sure Steelers fans who will be in attendance, Wolf, are very pleased to see that he was able to make it healthy and safely.
Unquestionably so, Missy. Look, this guy has always been a bright light wherever he's been. You know, as a player, conducting himself on the field, off the field, in season, out of season, he was always a bright light, a soul that, you know, you just enjoyed being around. One of those guys that lifted everybody in the room when he walked in. And so to see him participate in the biggest day of his post-career career, I think is something special, certainly to be amongst all the greats and then all the Steeler greats. So for Steelers Nation, everybody wanted to see Troy, wanted to see him do it, and I think everybody's breathing a little bit of sigh of relief that he was able to make it.
Troy is there. We talked to Coach Cowher. Alan Fanika's there as well. Donnie Shell, and of course Bill Nunn's family. So a lot of stuff to stay tuned to tonight and again tomorrow. But the Steelers are back at practice preparing for their next preseason game. They are going Thursday to Thursday. So Wolf, just looking back very quickly to Thursday night's game against the Cowboys. First preseason game, an extra one. So of course we weren't going to see the Ben Roethlisbergers and Cam Haywards of this team. What are your overall thoughts?
Well, I love the fact that Najee Harris came out and gave a great accounting of himself in a competitive, demeanor-like type of action. We saw him first contact was not his last contact. It was only the beginning of the play for him. This is a pile pusher. This is a guy who's fast, who's got all kinds of capabilities, be it running the ball or catching the ball. And I look for more of it. You know, Mike Tomlin said it best. We're looking just to come out and do the routine plays routinely, because when he does the routine routinely, those fundamentals will carry him to some high water marks. So don't fear on just the 7 for 22. It's the first time out, but you see right there, he can take it to the corner and he can push the pile and he can catch the ball. These are all requirements you want out of a 3-down back. I think he acquitted himself very, very well.
All right, we'll get some more thoughts of yours on the Hall of Fame game. But as we said, a special weekend still in Canton, Ohio. We want to know, what is your favorite memory or moment from any of the guys that will be enshrined this weekend? Make sure you tweet it to us. We're going to share some of our favorite ones. I picked one of just Coach Cowher being Coach Cowher on the sideline. Animated, I think, would be the best way to describe him, correct?
Unquestionably so. I'm going to use that word a lot today. It seems like, but that's what Coach Cowher was all about. I remember that moment. Saw it down on the field and how thrilled everybody was for him, for everybody there associated with the team, all the Steelers fans. But certainly for Bill Cowher, it was really the cherry on top of the sundae, so to speak.
All right, Mike Prisuta is back from Canton, Ohio as well. He is on the Ford Fan Zone. The Steelers are not in pads today, Mike, but what can you tell us from who you've been able to see so far as they're going through walkthrough?
Well, first of all, Missy, if Craig Wolfley was going to explain what he just explained correctly, he would have said, so to speak, in Bill Cowherese.
Yeah.
You know, Coach, we always knew what he meant, but he didn't always say it the way you're supposed to say it. That was one of the things I loved about him. In terms of what's going on behind me, running back Kalen Ballage is down there, but he came on the field with a baseball hat, not a helmet, so it doesn't look like he's going to go. There has been a Benny Snell sighting. He was out there riding an exercise bike, so I guess today it's Benny Snell bicycle. Eric Ebron appears to be poised to return. He was not only seen, he was heard running onto the field, screaming, yelling, trying to get everybody all fired up, maybe just fired up himself. TJ Watt has a baseball hat on. Chakuma Okorafor and Kevin Dotson both have helmets. Don't know what that means because we've seen that before. It looks like Cody White, the wide receiver who's been out with a hamstring, may be ready to return. Antoine Brooks has a floppy hat, not a helmet. And I haven't seen Stephon Tuitt down there. That doesn't mean he's not there, but I haven't been able to locate him, Missy.
Very descriptive on what type of hat guys are wearing, so we appreciate your fine eye for detail, Triv. Okay, so I do want to get your opinion as well. What are some of your big takeaways from Thursday's game against the Cowboys?
I'll give you three of them in no particular order of significance. Mike Tomlin talked about how he was happy that they were able to get the special teams on and the offense or defense off when the situation dictated, and they still had 11 guys on the field. He said it's kind of funny to say that, but that's how much you don't take for granted in a preseason opener. Things can get screwy quickly. It can go off the rails. The Steelers were at least on their details, and they were able to function as if, it kind of looked like they knew what they were doing, right? That's always a plus. Number two, Kendrick Green, the third-round center from Illinois, had a chance to talk to Max Starks, your new sideline partner on the Steelers radio network. Max visited with us on the DVE morning show yesterday, and he said he was keeping a close eye on Kendrick Green, and he said Green was, quote, always in the piles and always playing to the echo of the whistle. There's been a lot of talk about nasty and get the attitude back. I don't think the new offensive line coach, Adrian Clem, has had to tell Kendrick Green about that stuff twice. And last but not least, the quarterback play. I know Mike Tomlin was kind of chastising the media for focusing on, is it Dwayne Haskins or Mason Rudolph behind Ben Roethlisberger? We've been kind of ignoring Josh Dobbs, relatively speaking. And Tomlin said, hey, you guys did that a couple years ago. Dobbs made the team when nobody was asking about him. Don't count him out. Dobbs is not going to shy away from the competition. I take that to heart, point made. But at the same time, the thing that intrigues me the most about that backup quarterback position, and I'm talking about numbers 2 and 3. Dwayne Haskins' potential upside. We saw him again make plays with his legs, a little run when he can get 5 or 6 yards, his ability to play action and bootleg and evade the pressure and make plays. I'm finding Haskins intriguing, maybe because he's the new kid in town, but I want to see some more of him, Missy.
Also, Mike, just in terms of there was no serious game planning taking place on either side, let's be honest, heading into the Hall of Fame game, but just the fact that different units were able to step up at different times, what did you see in terms of that, of trying to build some cohesion to the Steelers team that does have a lot of young guys on it?
Yeah, I kind of like the way the game played out from this aspect. You heard a lot last year, particularly after they lost games, and they would say words to the effect, well, we didn't play as a team. We didn't play complementary football. And you saw a lot of that in Canton. The offense fumbles on the first possession. Defense puts up a stand at the 5-yard line and forces Dallas to kick a field goal. The offense was having a hard time getting going, but the special teams provide a spark with a huge punt return. Then the defense creates another short field with an interception. Then the defense creates yet another short field by stopping Dallas on 4th and 1 on the Dallas side of the 50. So not all three phases are going to be firing every game, as we all know. It's up to the ones that are to pick up the ones that are not. And that's kind of a good habit to get into, a nice reminder for the Steelers of the way this is going to have to work out sometimes once they start playing for keeps in September.
All right, once again, the Steelers are not in pads today, Prisuta, but is there anything in particular you're looking at today for practice? I
was kind of focused on Kalen Ballage, and we're not going to see a whole lot of him, it doesn't appear, today. But he impressed, I thought, in the game. He scored a rushing touchdown, which that's nice to see. And I want to see some more of him in this camp. He looked very good in the non-shoulder pads part of training camp, and I thought he looked good this spring. And I asked somebody about him, and they said, well, let's see what happens when the pads come on. He looked right at home in those pads as well.
Coach Tomlin, after the game, Mike said he's dealing with a lower body injury, going kind of with the hockey terms here, because he does not have to officially report them, as he described to Bob Labriola on his pregame show. So now I understand where we're going here with lower body, so that can mean a number of things.
Yeah, I think he got slashed on that second penalty kill.
Now, as you know, big weekend in Canton still. Teams back here in Pittsburgh, but we asked fans to submit maybe one of their favorite moments or memories from any of the guys being enshrined this weekend. Give us yours, Triv.
I'll give you one about Alan Faneca, Missy, before he even got here. The Steelers drafted him, and then, you do the typical media rounds and whatnot, and then in between picks, I ran into Phil Kreider. This was back when the media showed up at Three River Stadium, and we covered the draft that way. And I asked one of the scouts, Phil Kreidler, what's Alan Faneca all about? Give me something that would allow me to understand who this kid is and what kind of player he is. And Phil Kreidler said, if you're playing against Alan Faneca, you don't want to be standing around any piles. And the inference was that Alan would come in and take care of business and clean you up or light you up, free shot time, nasty, aggressive. Now rewind to what we were talking about with Max Starks a few minutes ago about Kendrick Green. He's going to go get in that pile. He's going to play to the echo of the whistle. I'm not saying Kendrick Green is bound for the Hall of Fame where Alan Faneca now resides, but you got to say the tradition continues, do you not?
Absolutely. And Faneca just looks completely different nowadays. I think we're used to it because it has been so long since his playing days. But just crazy to think of what he was and what he is now, and the fact that he just seems so nice until you go and you turn on some film and you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, similar to Troy in that way, right? Troy, Wolf called him a shining light or a bright light, which is, very well stated. Troy's the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet, but you didn't want to run into him out here, particularly if you were trying to do something that he didn't want you to do. And Alan Faneca the same way. He and his wife were all in terms of community involvement when he played here for the Steelers, and one of the nicest guys you'll ever run across. But I'll tell you what, Missy, I wouldn't stand around a pile if I knew Alan Faneca was out there.
All right, Triv, thanks so much for your report. Enjoy practice. We'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Thanks, Missy.
All right, well, if we heard Prisuta talking about Alan Faneca and maybe that pre-draft tidbit he got for one of his favorite memories, a lot of guys to choose from. Do you have a favorite moment or memory, maybe even off the field, from one of the guys that will be enshrined this weekend?
Oh, there's no question about it. I mean, I could probably sit here and, over a little snackeration and relaxation here. We could have a real conversation about a lot of it. But one of them would be, with Alan Faneca, it was amazing because some of the things that he did, you simply just had to go, whoa. Like the time when he was playing Cincinnati, he came around on a belly play. He pulls around, he goes face to face, mano-a-mano with his linebacker, and they smacked face masks, and it was just a heck of a hit between the two of them. Well, Alan hit this linebacker so hard, the helmet on this Cincinnati backer linebacker pops straight up in the air like Rock'em Sock'em robots, when they get punched and the head pops up. That helmet popped right off like it was a zit on somebody's nose, went a foot above his head. And I'm going, did I just see that? Did I just see that? I saw it with my own eyes. Now, same game, not too much later, he comes around yet again, hits another linebacker, hits him so hard, the guy falls over backwards, does a somersault, comes to his feet. He got hit so hard. And Big Red, he just kept trucking and ran him over a second time. The guy got trucked 2 times in one play by the same guy. That was Alan Faneca. What a player.
I'm shocked you picked an offensive lineman to talk about.
Oh, well.
All right, we asked you, the fans, to submit some of your memories or moments. So let's take a look at some of those. Ted submitted, he just saw Troy last month, so many memories. Got a chance to meet him at an appearance just a month ago and got the Troy bobblehead down there, so that's pretty cool. Jason, said, can't find it in GIF form, but coach stuffing the replay photo in the official's pocket. That's vintage Cower. Yeah,
yes.
We should dig up that video for sure. Just any play really that Troy made on the field, right?
The Superman stuff that he did was, it was unprecedented because nobody knew or had access to the code words and things like they have today. Back then as much, and for him to be able to time that count and take that gamble, because let's face it, once you leave your feet, there's no stopping, okay? And you got to hit it and get it. But Troy was one of those guys who changed the play, the style of play as a safety, and really kind of reconstituted the position in a way different than anybody had ever seen before.
I do just want to quickly take everybody down to the field. You can see Mike Sullivan, the quarterback's coach, working with Dwayne Haskins, Mason Rudolph, and Josh Dobbs. And then it looks like over behind them by the sled, the tight ends, that's Pat Freiermuth. That's good to see. He obviously did not play in the Hall of Fame game, and Eric Ebron working out with Cam Hayward there.
Exactly so. And I would say this, I just got done doing a thing with the great Jack Ham of Penn State fame, who was asking me about the Freiermuth. And I had to tell him, I said, I don't know, these Penn State guys, and they might not be made of the same sort of steel you were when you came out of, but we want to see Pat Freiermuth, and I want to see him have that opportunity to be able to get out and compete, because I'll tell you something, Kevin Rader on that Kellen Ballage run, I hopped somebody. I don't know. It's an unknown Dallas Cowboy, because this guy got pancaked so bad. That was just a great job. Kevin Rader and Zach Gentry upped their game. Pretty good job by those guys the other night.
Yeah, they were a little thin at that tight end position. I do want to quickly mention something about Troy. His on-the-field play, as we've talked about, everybody loves. But, there were those moments. We see him now in the Head and Shoulders commercials and maybe that humorous side of him. But he was always a prankster. And when we would be in the locker room interviewing anybody, Troy would sometimes sneak into the back and hold up a Head and Shoulders bottle to get it in the frame, to get us to laugh and, not focus. And that's something I'll always remember about Troy, is just his non-football stuff, but just the great human and funny guy he really is off the field.
He really is. He loves life. He enjoys it. He raises the level of everybody around him. And one of the things I always remember about him, they told me that what he would do is guys would put their shoulder pads on top of the locker. Well, what he would do, he'd get a big old glass of water and ice and put it inside the shoulder pads. So they'd pull the shoulder pads off and pull this ice thing right down on top of them. And of course, Troy would be laughing the loudest, because he was the one who was putting the ice and water up there.
Absolutely. Glad again that he did make it safely to Canton, Ohio. Let's talk a little bit more about the Hall of Fame game. Mason Rudolph, somebody we saw a lot of. He had a chance to start than Dwayne Haskins and Josh Dobbs. What do you take away from what Mason was able to do on Thursday, Wolf?
He looked sound decision-wise. He knew exactly where he wanted to go with the ball, put it there. The only really hiccup in the whole thing was when they had the jet motion with Chase Claypool. Yeah. And I don't know who was out of sync, whether Chase was going a little too jet, or whether the snap count was late or what have you, but they obviously weren't greased up there, and it was unfortunate. It ended that drive, but Mason just looked like Mason, looked like a guy in control of the offense. Then you had Dwayne Haskins, I thought, came out and did a fine job, especially when he got caught flat-footed, and I've never seen it before. And this guy, with his feet parallel, fired one off to the sideline about 30, 35 yards, and it was on a frozen rope. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's that arm they're all talking about. He is a guy that looked good dispersing the ball to whoever. The stage definitely was not too big for him. He looked grooved and ready. And I thought that Josh Dobbs did the best of them all. I will say this, that touchdown throw to Tyler Simmons was a beauty. I mean, for Josh to be able to pick that up, if you look back at that, it's cover zero. I mean, they are locked on the receivers. There's no safety over the top. And you've got a situation where he knows, because you're going to bring one more man than he can account for, he's got to catch that snap and he's got to get rid of the ball right away. And he does. Tyler Simmons in the corner, 17 yards. That's a nice job of quarterbacking.
Going back to what you said about Mason, he said it was supposed to be a handoff to Chase Claypool, who said, I've got to, quote, do a better job of getting it in his sweet spot, his breadbasket, and getting the ball around. So he took responsibility for that.
Well, you know what? That's what a quarterback does, and really, either way, that's what a leader does. You just put it on yourself and make sure that the next time you got that all greased up and ready to go. But good leaders, they'll fall on the knife for themselves,
All right, I know you already talked a little bit about Najee Harris. Of course, the first time we got to see him in any game action here in the NFL. I had a chance to catch up with him after the game, so let's take a listen to that.
It was good, man. Popped off a lot of 5-yard runs. Any 5 or more yard runs is efficient. So, us as a team and us as a line, we did a lot of stuff we got to work on too, communication stuff. But as a whole, just getting the feet wet felt good.
Other than the communication, what else do you want to work on?
Personally or team-wise? Personally, me, it's more of getting more game reps like that for me to even say like exactly what it is. In practice, of course, still want to work on like communications with the line and like, the blitz pickups and stuff like that. And then, learning the protections on certain shot plays. But best time to get some game reps, our best time to to correct yourself is getting game reps. So, as more games I play, the more stuff I can correct and, get a better feel for the game.
There is number 22 out at the field. Practice resuming here for the Steelers at Heinz Field, Wolf. And a friendly reminder, Coach Tomlin said we will see him in all 4 of the Steelers' preseason games. He would not commit to the workload, but as you heard from Najee there, thinks the improvements will come with more reps in games.
Undoubtedly so. I'll throw a new one in there instead of unquestionably. We'll go
Okay.
undoubtedly so. I mean, look at the ham hocks on this guy. Look at the hammies. I mean, that's power, that's strength. That's what gives him that push when he hits the pile and runs after the first contact. And this guy here, I love listening to him talk. He says, you know what? I want to work more on communication with the line, and so I know the blitz pickups better, that it's not something where I got to count 1, 2, 3, or I have to, sit there and be directed what to do. I want to make sure that I'm on top of it so you can pick up that blitz or lickety-split right away and be accountable for it and not have to have anybody worried about it. And I love the fact that he has, as Mike Tomlin says, and we use this word over and over, but again, it just surfaced Thursday night in Canton, and it's going to keep resurfacing, that competitive demeanor. And the demeanor of the offensive line, I thought it was significant. Adrian Clem is changing things around, and you're seeing guys block into the whistle. You're seeing guys aggressively go after it. It's all got to mesh together because this guy here, Najee Harris, we've had really, really good luck with running backs in Pittsburgh, last name Harris. And I think this kid's going to be something special.
Right, and just to recap what Prisuta said in terms of other running back availability today, Benny Snell is out there. He wasn't sure if he would be returning to practice. He did not play in the Hall of Fame game. And also Kalen Ballage appears he's not able to go, as Coach said, following Thursday's game, which he played and scored in, dealing with a lower body injury. So we'll see.
Well, Kalen Ballage was another guy that separated himself a little bit. You knew what he was doing. You saw him out there stiff arm, running up guys on that touchdown, running up the backside of them, pushing the pile. He's a stout young man, and I thought he did some very, very good things Thursday night.
And what Triv said, we saw him without pads, then they got in pads and you still saw it and it transferred to the game. Obviously something that I think coaches and scouts, as they're looking to, put this roster together, that's the step in the right direction for him.
Unquestionably so. It's, again, you want to leave no doubts. You want to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward all the time. And when you're given a specific number of reps, you want to maximize those reps. And one of the things, I go back to 2-2. Talking about Najee, one of the things I love about him is his desire. Blitz pickups, don't just give me a defensive back. Don't give me a safety, only. Give me the linebacker. Give me Alex Highsmith. Because if I get my butt whooped, I'm also going to learn from it. And if I'm able to do the job, that's just going to bolster the good things that I'm already doing. So I love his thought process. And for each and everyone, from Kalen Ballage to whoever that is going to line up there in the backfield, being able to display your very best is what it's all about.
All right, let's flip over and talk a little defense in terms of what you saw on Thursday. It appeared they got better as the game went on. Wolf, what did you make of their performance?
I love the first 3-down series where after the fumbled exchange between Mason Rudolph and Chase Claypool, and they get down there first and goal on the 5 or the 7, somewhere down there, and 3 plays in a row they shut them down, and I thought it was terrific. And it started off, Alex Highsmith gets a sack. He gets a beautiful spin move. I mean, that was a spinnerooski. That guy could spin in a 3-quart bucket, as we used to say, but he gained ground coming out of that, not just spinning and ending up in front of a guy, but being able to gain ground, get up the field, and be able to move towards the quarterback, and he did it so quickly. That was Dwight Freeney-ish. I mean, that was really amazing. And he's just simply displaying what he's already been putting out on the Heinz Field grass each and every day, his dominance in practice and what he's able to do. I love what I saw out of this young man. I think, again, he's just giving you that idea that the upside is way up, and he's ready to go. Then they come back, and I saw Miles Killebrew and Trey Norwood on second down combine on a bookend crash and bang tackle. It was a great job of shutting down the run. Trey Norwood coming from the safety position, Miles Killebrew from the backside off the slot, the two of them together bringing the back down for no gain just about. And then on a play where the quarterback got flushed, Gilbert goes out and throws it, and Trey Norwood just does a nice job of knocking the ball away from a receiver at the goal line. Just 1, 2, 3, boom. Defense shut him down. I thought that was terrific.
All right, and happy birthday to Alex Highsmith, 24 years old today, just a few years behind you, right?
Just a few decades behind me.
We also had a chance to hear from Highsmith after the game. Let's listen to that.
I rushed him a few times, before that, and I felt like I was threatening him upfield with my speed. He opened the inside for me, so I just wanted to spin inside and just take what he gave me, and so that's what I did. And so that's what I like to do when I rush. I like to have a rush plan, I like to set things up, and so that's something I do with my spin move. I like to set it up with speed.
All right, so taking us through the thought processes and the progression of that spin move. And Wolf, I know I've said it before, but even last year during Highsmith's rookie year, TJ Watt very complimentary of him and saying that they can share moves and learn stuff from each other. And it is exciting to, look forward to what we're going to see this year, especially with the addition of Melvin Ingram after the Steelers lost Bud Dupree in free agency.
Well, the first thing you look at the guns in that young man, okay? This young man spent the offseason doing the right thing. He got himself on a great weight training program. He's squatting buildings and benching cars or something out there. I don't know. But he comes to camp, and you got bear wrestling going on with the 6'7", 325, 345-pound offensive tackles that he's got to bear wrestle. So you got to have some oomph. You got to have some strength. You can't get it done with just speed, because those big boys will just simply sit on the corner and wait for you to arrive and then make you a helmet magnet. So the fact is, you got Highsmith out here doing a great job, because he's combining the speed rush, which he can carry the speed around the corner, with that spin move. And that's very, very hard to do, because to have that ability to spin when it looks like you're taking the corner and coming so fast, look at that spin. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's so good. And the other part about it that was helpful was Cassius Marsh getting in the grill of the quarterback, taking away his first option, giving enough time. But watch that spin again. Boom. I mean, that is just so clean, it's ridiculous.
All right, let's talk a little O-line. I know you mentioned them briefly. Prisuta was relaying what Max Starks told them on the DVE morning show, that Kendrick Green was always in piles, not afraid. We've talked about that demeanor, the physicality that Adrian Clem wants from them. What else did you see other than what Kendrick Green did in terms of maybe some of the young guys who got a shot on Thursday night?
First of all, let me say this about Kendrick Green. I was happy for him. I thought that, this guy here, you talk about demeanor. Well, the more he plays, demeanor he gets. I mean, I like the way.
Yeah. I like that. Okay,
little play
that's
on
a
words.
T-shirt. Yeah, I like that, Wolf.
But I enjoyed watching him play. One of the things he's going to have to correct is his desire a lot of times, because he was a guard and he only had 3 or 4 starts in college at center. He tends to get his shoulders turned as he moves and gets heavy to one side, because that's what a guard will do. And he's got to remember to stay square so he's able to help out either side on some of the base protections when he's uncovered. But that's minor stuff. He got the snap off well, did a good job. But we saw some other guys get out there and compete. BJ Finney was absolutely just nice, solid pro. That's what a pro looks like when BJ played out there at the left guard spot. Rashad Coward, I thought, acquitted himself well. Joe Haig did a good job, as a veteran should do. I thought Dan Moore, I like this kid.
Pleasantly surprised?
I was a little surprised, because he played with more confidence than I thought I might see. And I will say this, he's got really good hands. He's got really good feet. He's a strong young man. I think that he's going to grow exponentially on this job. He's got to learn that when you punch at offensive tackle, you got to punch confidently. You can't do it half-heartedly, you got to be locked in, and then boom, and you got to let that baby go and tag somebody with full confidence that you're going to get meat on this guy, and not think that you're going to glance over or just a little bit off. But other than that, I just think that his upside is going to be so good. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the Steelers. I think he's going to be a great addition at some point in time.
What about J.C. Hassenauer? What did you see from him?
I saw some good things. I saw some things he's got to work on. Pass protection and seal blocks on the backside. He's quick. He's able to get low and use his under and up leverage. Sometimes on the block back, he had a little trouble with some of the big guys. He didn't quite get full meat on the guy. When you block back, you got to keep that guy locked to the line of scrimmage. Otherwise, the guy can backdoor and get behind the trapper and bring the back down. And there was a couple of congested moments on the trap with the left guard pulling and JC blocking back. But that's just little stuff to work out. I thought he acquitted himself well. Each and every guy is going to have to pick it up from week to week to week. But I thought that, like I said, Joe Haig did a good job. I thought LeGlue had some good moments. moments in there. And what I like best of all, when you see 61, Aviante Collins, and you see Brandon Walton, one of the things you love about these kids, just see them blocking well the whistle. I mean, to the whistle, they're going, they're blocking. Those ham hocks are churning, they're pushing, and whatever, get down there, get around the pile, make sure your teammates, number one, there's no fumble. Number two, you make sure nobody's taking cheap shots at them. And number three, you're extending yourself to the fullest extent each and every time to the whistle, and that's what you want to see.
All right, a promising sign. We see Kevin Dotson out there, Zach Banner, Chuksa Okorafor look like they're going through practice. Obviously, they did not play on Thursday. Trey Turner didn't either. Do you feel now that that extra preseason game is gone, we might see them limitedly, or maybe, you know, a few series, knowing that you need to figure out your offensive line moving forward with these next 3 and final preseason games, Wolf?
We're getting to that point where you've got to start to see the formulation of this line in whatever form it's going to take. It's going to be important. You know, you need to see Chooks get in there and start to nail down that left tackle spot, Zach Banner over on the right side, so that you start to have this communication and you get that ESPN thing going on in your head where you can talk to each other without saying a word. All important stuff, because that is the chemistry of an offensive line. It's about continuity, playing together for a period of time where you start to really understand each other. It's about chemistry, where the blood, sweat, and tears of the daily toil in training camp bonds a group together. You know, one of the things that you see with this guy right here, 53, he's a rookie, all right? So guys like rally around him a little bit, and they want to see him excel, do good and everything. And so you kind of support him. You know, you want to be there. You're the Trey Turners. You want to be the veteran guy there that's able to help him out. And J.C. Hassenauer, he's also got a deal where he needs to be in mentoring to a degree with the Kendrick Greens, because he's a veteran more so, you know, and all this stuff, this all is what offensive linemen, there's a humility about this group. It's the 5 is 1 instead of, you know, just 1, you know, and that's what's really important about them.
All right, we got to talk some special teams. What did you like from Presley Harvin and that punt that really just, is that luck? Is that skill? What is that, Wolf?
I don't have anything that compares to that kind of skill, you know? I mean, look at somebody, I think, who was it said it looked like a Jerry Dulac 9-iron, you know, with a little backspin on it. But what a tremendous punt. And for him to be able to do it, I think he put, what he stopped, 2 or 3 inside the 20 of those punts. And this one, the coup de grace here on the one, and by the way, that was University of Buffalo, Large Prairie Mammals. That would be Anthony Johnson that touched that ball down. Way to go, Anthony. But this is phenomenal. I mean, how do you have that sort of control over the ball? Just amazing. So good for him. I'm sure Jordan Berry says, oh, man, you know, let me get some punts in. But Presley Harvin acquitted himself very, very well and booted the snot out of that ball.
As Coach always says, you know, it's one thing to do things in practice. It's when you get into the stadium under the lights what happens. And obviously, you know, that can be a very trying moment. And he seemed to live up to expectations.
Exactly. So Missi and punter, place kicker, holder, these are all things that can't be, you can't aggressively get yourself out of a funk or aggressively get yourself ready to go. You have to be of the calm mind, very cerebral, going about your business, and be able to get the job done. That's a tough thing to do. Everybody wants to be a kicker during practices when guys are standing around, until you got to go out and perform in front of 70, 80, 90,000 people, and the game is on the line. Things, your voice dries up real quick in situations like that.
All right, let's move over to the Steelers defense, talk about maybe some of the young guys. You mentioned Trey Norwood. What did you see from those guys in terms of defensive backs? We didn't see, you know, the Minka Fitzpatricks and Joe Haydens on Thursday night.
Exactly. So number one, let me just jump in on James Pierre, because I love the work James Pierre is doing. You know, to watch him perform Thursday night, some of the things that escape you in the live action, you go back, you get on the film, you're watching a little bit, and watching him attack the stem point when an offensive wide receiver is making his break, and he breaks on the ball from being off and gets a PBU, you know, breaks that pass up. It was outstanding the way he went after the ball. I mean, he went with great skill and precision, coming around and knocked the ball down. He did a great job. Shakur Brown, we saw on the kickoff team. By golly, that is one feisty dude. You know, if he can translate into coverage skills with that sort of attitude, he and Calvin Bundage, they were on that kickoff team. You talk about a couple of people that don't pull a parachute They just fly down the field and have at it. I can't say enough about him. But James Pierre is another guy who continues to make those leaps and bounds. Arthur Mollett, we saw him on a couple of shots where he came through and made some big plays. Let's see.
Antoine Brooks.
Antoine Brooks, we saw him scoop up that fumble. With that Justin Lane stripped it. Yes, good stuff there. These guys, these are all part of those unsung young guns, again, that we talk about. Guys that, maybe they're kind of flying below the radar a little bit, but they're making plays out there, and I was impressed with them.
No doubt about it. And also, you brought up what they were able to do on special teams, and sometimes that helps you get a roster spot. The more you can do, sometimes the motto you hear, but it is true when you're not a designated starter on either side of the ball.
No question about it. One of the big things that you'll hear Mike Tomlin say is you pay rent with your work on the special teams until you become a two-deeper. Until you become a starter, you must pay the rent. And back in my day, I played all 4 special teams besides, when I was a rookie, and besides playing some backup offense as a guard. And it's really true. That's how you pay the rent, but it's also how you learn the skills of the NFL in being part of the special teams and being able to get that contact and that game speed. And it really does prepare you for it. And it kind of gives you that opportunity to be able to ramp up without actually being in the too deep.
All right, last night in Canton, Ohio, Wolf, was the Gold Jacket dinner, which is just a special moment to get fitted. There you can see Bill Cowher strained his tie after that moment, fluffed the jacket a little bit. Donnie Shell also, shout out to Donnie's shoes. They were custom made for him. They say LC on there for his teammate, just
God bless him.
Advocating a little bit. And of course, Alan Faneca, as we said, does not look like the Alan Faneca of his playing days, but looks sharp in that suit and that jacket. That was his son who put it on for him. Team President Art Rooney II put on Bill Cowher. So just really cool to see, and just kind of getting you more excited as the weekend goes on, and we know what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow.
Boy, it's so awesome to see these guys putting on that beautiful gold coat. It's a special moment, I would imagine, for them. The closest I got to the Hall of Fame was, if you look down in the Great Hall, there's a picture of the great Franco Harris, and in his Hall of Fame photo. Well, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, that's my right leg that's in there. That's my closest to it. But for these guys, what an awesome moment that's got to be. It's the answer, the end of the line, in the sense of this great dream they've had, I'm sure since they were kids, to play, professional football, to be the best. And for guys like Alan Faneca and Donnie Shell, Donnie, I can't say enough of the great stuff about Donnie, because Donnie was special. Think about it. In an age where the quarterbacks threw 15 to 20 times a game, he was still getting, I think he had 6 seasons of 5 or more interceptions. Back in the day.
51 total.
Yes,
think about
exactly.
That.
Missy, think about it. I mean, he didn't have 40, 50 opportunities to make a play on the ball during the game. I mean, there was limited. And let me tell you something. From a guy who was personally airmailed by Donnie at training camp, okay, I know how hard, the human torpedo, I know how hard that cat can hit, because he airmailed me at least 6.5 feet on a sweep when I came out, right to Chuck Noll's feet, who Coach Noll looked at me and said, "Young man, that's not very impressive." And in my mind, as I was seeing stars, I was like, I thought it was pretty impressive.
We have a ton of great Hall of Fame content right now on Steelers.com, the official mobile app, and on Steelers YouTube. We do want to share a little preview of a Coach Cowher piece that our producer Gerard put together with Bob Pompiani. Here, take a look.
The people that weren't there, first thing, my parents, Kay, Dan Rooney, Marty, I'm like, oh, they would be so proud. You grow up here, just to have a chance to come back here. To be able to hand Dan Rooney that trophy, that one for the thumb that we were missing for so long.
Mr. Rooney, this is yours, man.
That was all that's it. I had great peace with myself, being able to walk away. But then all of a sudden you come back and this happens, how many years, 14 years later, you're going into the Hall of Fame. And it's hard to put into words. It's so humbling. And then you see the other people that are in there. And you realize man, a game I loved, a game that started in Crafton, with the Crafton Little Cougars, to Carlington, to NC State, to playing for the Browns and the Eagles. getting a chance to coach. And just having it all culminate and to go to Canton in August. There's a lot of people along the way.
All right, again, you can watch the full feature right now on Steelers.com, the official Steelers mobile app, and the Steelers YouTube page. Wolf, I know I can speak for myself. Excited to watch the speeches tonight, and I know I'm probably going to get a little teary-eyed.
Yes. You know, you can see the emotion pouring out of Bill. That's what this game is built on. It's built on the emotion. You know, just to look at that Hall of Bus, you see those when they showed that in there. I mean, I've been so blessed to have been a speaker at there at the Hall of Fame when a company would rent out the Hall of Fame, and you would go in there and you know, 100 people, you have dinner and you talk, but they give you the opportunity to walk around the hall with just those people, you know. And I've been in that Hall of Bus, and I agree with John Madden. They talk to each other. I'm telling you.
All right, well, the Steelers excited to have 5 more in there. Bill Nuns is already in there as well, so 4 additional ones will go in there this weekend. Very exciting stuff. That is going to do it for this edition of Training Camp Live presented by FedEx. The Steelers, again, not in pads today, but we will have a complete wrap-up for you on our wrap-up show following the conclusion of practice. We'll see everybody then.